What's up guys? A very quick macro hack today, and that is making a mocha. Cost of living crisis has been hitting hard. Go to Starbucks, Costa or a local coffee chain and you're likely going to be paying close to £4 for a cup of coffee made with milk. So this is an at-home mocha recipe that has about half the carb value of a Starbucks mocha, less fat. It could be used as a pre-workout, could be used as a post-workout, or just any time of day. For me, I'm going to be using decaf. Anyone who has followed this channel or knows me knows that I don't have caffeine because I don't want to rely on an external energy source to get me to do something. And also because it's been so long since I have had caffeine, if I did have a normal coffee, then I'll be bouncing off the walls. So there's a few key ingredients that I'm going to be utilizing for this decaf mocha or a mocha. You can use caffeine as you want. I'm going to do two different variations. One is going to be made with a Dolce Gusto machine. I recommend this because obviously their pods contain skim milk powder. So half of your job to make a coffee taste like it does in the coffee shop with like steamed frothy milk combined with the coffee, that's already done for you. Whereas if you're making this with instant or Nespresso and using a milk frother, the combination isn't going to be quite the same as it would be in a coffee shop. So Dolce Gusto can get slammed for people, for connoisseurs, but genuinely for texture and for taste and giving it that thickness, I genuinely recommend giving it a try. I'll also provide another recipe that will be more instant, more easy to produce, but both taste as good. I'm not lying, they taste as good as a mocha from Starbucks. Lactose-free milk. I'm not lactose intolerant, and there's a good chance a lot of people out there who say they're lactose intolerant aren't actually either. It's about the quantity that we're having, but I choose to have lactose-free milk because of one thing, and that's because the carbs and protein values are in a 1-to-1 ratio usually. So whereas in normal milk, say let's take semi-skimmed milk, per 100 mils, there'll be 5 grams of carbs, around 3 grams of protein, and just under 2 grams of fat. Whereas with semi-skimmed lactose-free milk, there's around 3 grams of carbs, 3 grams of protein, and just under 2 grams of fat. That is really helpful if we're making shakes or making a higher protein coffee like this. So that's one way to boost up your protein intake during the day. It's another great way to reduce a few carbs here or there, and it will settle your stomach if you may well feel that you have a lactose intolerance. It's also a great alternative to buying more or spending more money on milk alternatives like oat, nut and soy milks, because this still has all the calcium that your body and your bones need and that higher protein than some of those alternatives. I'm also using Options lower calorie hot chocolate powder because there's less sugar, there is sweetener in it, and that sweetener actually gives this a taste closer to a real mocha than a typical hot chocolate powder that has more sugar. I promise you that's the case. I'm not just saying that. So that means we're reducing the carbs there and reducing the fat somewhat. We're not even going to be using a whole serving of Options hot chocolate powder, given the balance with the coffee from the Dolce Gusto machine. You can add a bit more chocolate if you want that sweet hit, or add another shot of coffee or some more instant to that to strengthen up that coffee profile if that's something that you prefer.
So we'll start with the Dolce Gusto version where we go in with 5 grams of Options hot chocolate, mix it up in a paste with some hot water, not too much to keep that chocolate flavour strong. Stir that up before you add in anything else to this mix. So you get the paste like so. Can be quite awkward in a narrow cup like this one. Then we're going to be going in with your lactose-free milk. I'm going to use just over 100 mils here, so about 4 grams of protein. Heat that up in the microwave separately, or if you have a milk frother on the back of an espresso machine or anything like that, that's the time to use that. Then I'm using decaf cafe au lait, which is 3 grams carbs, 2 grams protein, 2 grams of fat, all in that one pod, which makes this useful. Stir that all together and mix that chocolate in with the coffee before you add in the milk, just to make your life a bit easier and that it doesn't overflow. And there you have it, one decaf mocha that's half the carbs and half the fat of a Starbucks. Okay, next up is a much more instant version. Exactly the same start with options hot chocolate, but then you're going to use a cappuccino sachet of powder. Then you're going to stir in a lot more hot water this time, because it's basically all powder that has to be mixed together. A lot of that is skim milk powder, basically. This is the unsweetened version. Carbs are on the screen there, and then adding in 100 mils of that skimmed lactose milk. Alternatively, you could just make this cold, use a bit of hot water to mix the chocolate up. But if you're going to do that, you might as well blend it up with ice to make it thicker. And at that point, you could just add extra protein and make this an actual protein mocha shake. So that's kind of a separate video, a separate recipe altogether.
Like I said, a really quick and easy one today, but these are just some of the small macro hacks that I have and use every day, every week, to keep myself on track, to still enjoy things, to save some money, let's be honest, got to do that sometimes, but just finding these nuances in our ingredients, in the supermarkets, on the stuff on the shelves, picking these things out, combining them to save some calories, to boost protein, so that you can enjoy those calories and those macronutrients elsewhere in your diet. So if I reduce the carbs in this, I'm not saying that carbs are bad. It just means that compared to a Starbucks mocha that would have around 20 grams of carbs, this one has 10. That gives me 10 grams of carbs to enjoy elsewhere, with like a bit of chocolate, some sweets, some more rice or bread if I want it. So that's the kind of ethos that I apply to my diet, my nutrition, and that I give to my clients, and recommend them finding the foods and drinks that they like, that fit into their macronutrients, that they can return to day in, day out and enjoy. So it isn't a diet, it's a nutritional plan. It's your bespoke plan that works for you, that makes you feel good, keeps you on track, and gives you the energy and the macronutrients that you need to perform in life and in the gym. Thanks very much, guys. See you soon.